Like when that turban comes off Quirrell, what was that underneath? Azkaban, they all glowed up, then they kind of all glowed down, and then they all glowed up again. Except Hermione, she obviously was glowed up for the whole thing. Okay, sorry, I don't know where to start. Okay, this is gonna be a very different video than what I usually do, but I love watching these videos where YouTubers make like a tier list and they rank certain things. I've wanted to make one of these videos for so long, so I'm finally gonna make a video and I'm gonna rank the Harry Potter films. Yeah, before we get started, we need to have a little chat about Harry Potter. Okay, I don't know where to begin with how much I love Harry Potter. I know this is a universal feeling. I know a lot of us feel this way. So I just want to reiterate, I absolutely love Harry Potter. I'm a huge, huge Harry Potter fan, which, you know, as a true fan, obviously I love the books more than the films. I still, don't get me wrong, I love the films, but the books, they just have a special place in my heart. I absolutely love escaping into the wizarding world, and just, it's such a good story. It's like, I just can't. There's this conspiracy theory that J.K. Rowling is actually Rita Skeeter, and she got banished from the wizarding world because, you know, it's Rita Skeeter. So she wrote the Harry Potter franchise and made money out of it. And as much as I don't think that's true at all, part of me is like, how else is the wizarding world so like, like, how did she create such a real experience with so much, like, how, like, do you know what I mean? Like, surely it is real. Like, how, J.K. Rowling's mind, how did she come up with the wizarding world? I love how the Harry Potter world, especially the books, are like a escape for a lot of people. And I don't necessarily mean like escaping something bad. Like, sometimes it's just nice to escape into the wizarding world and just leave this world behind for a little bit, because while you read, you literally feel like you're in that world, and it's just beautiful. But for a lot of people, I know that I've read a lot about people who've, you know, been in a really dark place, and Harry Potter, like, that world has helped them. Oh, I just love it. Such a good story. Anyway, as much as I adore the movies, which I do, don't get me wrong, after I fell in love with the books, I did go through a phase where I was kind of like offended and annoyed at the movies because they like missed some extremely important bits that I loved. But as I've gotten older, I know that you can't include everything in a film adaptation because the books are huge and the films are just an adaptation of the book. So I need to keep that in mind. I do have ones that I love and ones that I'm like, we'll get to when we rank these. I also have to say, this is going to be biased. Obviously, it's first of all my opinion. Also biased because I love the books more, even though I do love the movies, and it's also biased from my childhood self. So this is going to be hilarious and really fun for me to remember my like little kid self, how I saw things, because it's still like, because I saw like some of the movies when I was so little, it's still like, even though I can see it from my point of view now, how I saw it for the first time just influences how I see it now still a lot. So a lot of my ranking is still biased by my younger childhood self, which is going to be fun to explore. Another thing that I actually highly recommend is I watched this YouTube channel called Movie Flame. He made these amazing video essays on each Harry Potter film. I thought that was so interesting, and for me it kind of gave evidence to why I felt some way about certain things, but it also opened my eyes up to some other things that I was like, bro, that angers me, or like, bro, that was amazing filmography. So I definitely recommend checking those video essays out. I'm going to rank all 8 films into 3 categories. So I have 3 categories or 3 tiers. I just have my computer here to do my ranking, and I'm so excited to just like have a chat about each Harry Potter film and just like tell you guys some funny stuff that I remembered while watching them again and thinking about this. So I'm using Tier Maker, and I'm going to have three categories to put each of these films into. Okay, let's start with the bottom one. The bottom one is going to be, I literally cringe thinking of this scene / line. The bottom tier is going to be Open Up You. If you know, you know. I'm sorry, as much as book Ginny was amazing, screen Ginny, like nothing wrong with the actor, but just the portrayal and like the chemistry or the lack of chemistry between Harry and Ginny in the movies. I just can't. So Open Up You is going to be the bottom tier because it's just like one of the cringiest and like no bad scenes in the film. So that's going to be the bottom tier. The middle tier, look, I need to say that the middle tier and the top tier are both amazing. One's just more amazing than the other, and the bottom tier is just like I still love you because I love all the films, but you're in the worst category. So there's a big jump. It kind of goes like 190 and then like 60. Okay, the middle tier is going to be Harry's. I'm not sure if I think I should use an apostrophe here, but Hungarian horntail tattoo. I'm just going to make it Harry's horntail tattoo because it looks a bit too messy. So this is a bit from the book that I loved. Just a comment in the book, and I'm pretty sure it's in Order of the Phoenix, that I thought was hilarious, and I cackled out loud when I read that. So that's going to be the second top tier. So if you're in this tier, you are amazing. They're great films. But if you're in the top tier, the absolute best tier, these are just like absolutely iconic. And the top tier is going to be one of the best quotes from the book. If you know, you know. So I'm using Tier Maker, a random website, and someone had already made like this tier thing, but I just created my own like names and deleted some of the tiers because I had like 6 tiers, which is a bit ridiculous because there's literally 8 movies. I'm just going to start with the order that they have lined up here, and the first one is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This picture says Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which confused me so much when I was young, and I'm pretty sure it's just because like America were like, I don't know, weird about the word philosophers. But let's just all agree it's the Philosopher's Stone. What is the Sorcerer's Stone? Like, no. Anyway, Philosopher's Stone, iconic, beautiful movie. I don't know if I want to put it in Have a Biscuit Potter or Harry's Horntail Tattoo. Do you know what I want to do? This film is either going to be in Have a Biscuit Potter or Harry's Horntail Tattoo for me. This is the movie that started all of it. And none of the other movies following would have been what they were without this movie. They set up the world itself, like the wizarding world, the characters. The casting was just weapon. The casting was just absolutely weapon in these films. Ron, Harry, Hermione, absolute perfect. Nobody else could have been any of those characters. They just couldn't have. I love how they created the wizarding world. And do you know what I love about the first 2 films? They have such a different vibe to all the other films. Like obviously they were directed by a different director. There was quite a few different directors across the franchise, but the first 2 were directed, I'm pretty sure, by Chris Columbus. And I love how bright the world is and how warm and kind of like happier it is. And I think it's kind of cool how as it gets darker, like we get closer to the Wizarding War, we get closer to Voldemort's return, it gets darker through the films. So I like how it's like a bit different than the others. The magical atmosphere that was created and the detail of all the settings like Diagon Alley, even Hagrid's character, how did you do that? And the music. Now this is something that was amazing across all of the movies, but I just have to say like the first movie, like obviously all the iconic music that they bring back for the just beautiful. Just even like Privet Drive, like the Muggle world, done so well. I loved so many scenes in this movie. And it does deserve a high ranking because of it creating this world. However, I don't know if it deserves a top tier. It was going to be easier to adapt to a film than any of the other books because it was a much shorter book. But it would also have been hard because there was nothing to work with. Like it was the very first bringing it to life. I also made some notes of some things that were a bit of a lol. Oh, I also said Voldemort was terrifying. I remember when I was a kid, obviously Voldemort as he rose again was so much scarier, but when I was a kid, Voldemort in the first film was like so scary. Like when that turban comes off Quirrell, what was that underneath? Okay, rewatching the first Harry Potter now in 2021 is kind of hilarious when it, like some of the CGI, I don't know what was going on there, but I wrote some notes on the Quidditch scene. Like the CGI, like it was literally cartoon at some point. Like it just like flicked to cartoon sneakily. And I never noticed when I was young, probably because like CGI wasn't as good then. I think I was probably like 5 or 6 when I first watched this. This is probably like around 2006 or something like this. But like, damn. The CGI and the troll scene. I love that scene, but the troll is like, the CGI just hadn't had its day yet. And the acting, and I know this is something I love, that the director picked kids who were young and they weren't actors yet, but he wanted them to be the right characters, which is like perfect, but like they hadn't learnt to act yet. So there was some, like when you watch it back now, like sometimes it's like, like it's so cute, they're so small, and it's so weird looking back, because I remember when I first watched it, I was like, I thought they were like grown-ups or like something like that, and now I look back and they're like literal like 10-year-olds. I am going to put Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in Harry's Haunted Tattoo. Amazing movie, but it's just not in Have a Biscuit Potter. The second, here we go. The second film, this isn't in order down the bottom, but the second film is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Now I loved this book, and this is my least favorite film in the franchise. Definitely check out Movie Flame's video essay on this, because it sums up perfectly how I feel about a lot of it. But let me get my notes out. I know I said that I'm going to be aware that these are adaptations of the book, but just so much change from the book, it was just wrong. And they missed out some bits that I loved as well. Let's look at the pros first, because there's not as many. Okay, I love how it begins. I love it beginning in the Muggle world and showing like the Wizarding world connecting with the Muggle world, and it's like kind of forewarning like the war is coming and how big that the war is going to be. And even like Ollivander getting kidnapped, and it just shows how like actually terrifying the world has gotten because of Voldemort returning. Malfoy, Draco Malfoy in this movie, his character development is really, really good. Can I also just add, just because it's hilarious, when I was young, I was shook when I found out his name was Draco, because when I was little, I thought his name was Malfoy. I didn't realize they were calling him his last name. So I remember being like, what? His name is Draco? What the, like... And I do like how they showed like Voldemort's past, even though like it was kind of lacking. But let's get into the bad bits, because it's gonna, this movie, before I go into it, let me just say, this movie, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, is in Open Up You. This is my least favourite film out of all of the Harry Potter films. I'm shook by the film. First of all, the romances. No. Like, the Ron and Lavender, and then like really just pushing the romance stuff, and it's just really cringy and awkward. Like, I just felt like there was no chemistry on screen with the character relationships. Like, this is a little bit biased, because when I fell in love with the books for the first time, I was such a Harry and Hermione shipper. They just had so much chemistry, both on screen and in the book. I think Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe kind of had really good on-screen chemistry. And I used to be so mad that they didn't end up together, especially when J.K. Rowling said she regretted not putting them together. I was like, I knew it! It just, in the book, they were just so much closer and more compatible in so many scenes. Like, so many times throughout their time in Hogwarts when something would happen between characters. Harry and Hermione always stuck together. Like when Ron and everyone was mad at Harry for like, they thought he put his name in the Goblet of Fire. Hermione was Harry's best friend through all of that. And yeah, they just really stuck together. Even though I do ship them together still, I still appreciate Hermione and Ron together, because they did kind of show care for each other throughout the series. The lack of on-screen chemistry between lots of the characters made me angry. Okay, I wrote Ginny's lack of character development throughout the series. I used to be mad at Ginny and Harry ending up together, but then I realized book Ginny was great, and Ginny and Harry in the books had great chemistry, and there were some scenes that were iconic that were in this book that wasn't in the films, that would have been great for their like chemistry on screen. But the relationship scenes they had of Harry and Ginny in this, oh my gosh, Open Up You, no, get me out of the cinema that I was sitting in with my parents. It was just no. There was absolutely no chemistry between Harry and Ginny on screen. All of their scenes together were just like goddamn cringy. The fact that someone edited that scene, somebody edited the Open Up You scene and put it in a Harry Potter film, knowing that these are like the biggest film franchise ever, Imagine putting that in the film, like, as the editor. That's just wild. Another thing I commented about this, I'm just looking at my notes, was how bloody dark, like, the lighting was. I remember I saw this film in Canberra on a mini Canberra holiday. I don't even ask. With my family when I was maybe in year 4 or year 5. I know it came out when I was in either year 4 or year 5. And we watched it in the movies. And I remember because my mum hadn't really gotten into Harry Potter. I felt so annoyed that was her experience of it because it was so bad. But I remember not being able to see some of the film. Like, it was literally pitch black and I couldn't see what was happening. It's just too dark. Like, the saturation, just what happened in the editing room. Some of the comedy added was just not it. Like, when Harry did that, like, pincer thing, I felt, like, weird. Like, I just didn't feel like it was natural. It was just so random. Oh my god, Harry and Draco, like, the fight scene, it made Harry look like a dick. When Harry, like, cried over his body, like, he didn't just leave him and awkwardly run away. Like, I don't know, that was just strange in the movies. Okay, so before I move on, another thing that just, like, I was like, what? The beginning with Harry on the subway, like at the train station with Dumbledore, was so weird. And then when he just, like, hit on a random muggle chick, like, 5 minutes before having his awkward scene with Ginny because he loved Ginny, was just so... no. Anyway, let's go to the next film. Okay, so the next film on this tier list is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Deathly Hallows films, I am a stan of both of them. By this time, these movies were just obviously some of the biggest ever, and the characters were all just bloody amazing. All their acting skills had just blossomed. They developed. And just the Wizarding World was just like, it was just it by this point. So these were going to be great films. Something I loved about both the last two films was the action scenes. I thought they were really good. Okay, some of the scenes I loved was just like the breaking into the ministry scenes. It was like, kept me on edge. That was stressful. That was so stressful when the Polyjuice potion wore off. I loved how they did Ron changing back into Ron. Breaking out of Gringotts, that was Weapon. The Malfoy Manor, that was so dark but done so well. The wedding scene and the Patronus, I think Kingsley Shacklebolt sends it saying they are coming. That was so good. Harry, when they do break into the ministry and they go into the courtroom and they're interrogating a witch because she was Muggle born, and Harry says, "I'm sorry, Professor, but I must not tell lies." Fucking send it. The ongoing, like, slamming Umbridge is just the best bits. I do love this film. However, like, some bits of it, the Harry and Ginny kiss scene before the wedding, I think that literally puts it means it can't go on the Have a Biscuit Potter tier because the Harry and Ginny kiss scene. Oh, and of course Dobby's death. Yeah, I think it was done really well, and this is the only death that I cried when reading. I was really disappointed that they cut the scene with Dudley. So the Dursleys were cut out, which was disappointing because that was a really good deleted scene if you haven't seen that. And I loved in the book how that went. Aggro Ron with the when he was wearing the Horcrux. But it was a good movie. I think I'm going to put this in Harry's Horntail tattoo because I loved it, but it wasn't like absolute iconic. Okay, I think we're going to get to our first Have a Biscuit Potter movie now because Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This movie was insanely good. I loved how they brought back like the music from the first one, but like hyped up even more. Such a good film. I love it. And I think this is one of the films where they changed something that happened in the book but made it better. The final fight between Harry and Voldemort was better in the movie than in the book, because in the book when he was under the invisibility cloak it would have been really confusing to do on screen, and I love how they did it. The only thing about that fight scene that kind of like irritated me a little bit was that like his final fight with Voldemort where Voldemort dies, like nobody was there, but otherwise it was done beautifully. The Battle of Hogwarts was just something else. I loved it. It was insane. Oh, there is one thing that I'm going to add that every time I watch it, I'm like, what the fuck? The weird ass CGI when Voldemort and Harry like jump off the building and they like merge into one, and like the the cartoonish vibe, that was a weird vibe, and I'm still confused by that every time I see it. And what was it exactly? Besides from that, the actual Battle of Hogwarts was just insane. Oh, when McGonagall lets the statues, like that scene of all the teachers protecting the castle. Okay, McGonagall's action scenes, her just being a weapon, her like defending the castle with that spell, but also when the trio return to Hogwarts, the music comes back and it's like dun, 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 dun. I love that bit. That bit is so good. And then when they all go to the Great Hall, Snape like is like, Harry Potter, if anybody has seen Harry Potter, like step forward, and then Harry himself steps forward, and then they're like and then like McGonagall fights Snape, and then the order comes in, and it's just such a good scene. Holy shit, I love this movie. This film is Have a Biscuit, Potter. This film is amazing. Next film is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is one of my favorites. I remember watching this for the first time when I was about 8 years old, and it was on TV on the weekend. You know how like every weekend on the Saturday night I'd have a movie on the TV? This is before Netflix and Stan, before the days of this, where you had to go to like the video shop to get a DVD. Because I hadn't read the books, like when it got to the scene in the Shrieking Shack with Sirius Black, I was like, oh my god, who is this scary man who's gonna kill them? And then my mum was like, bedtime, you're not allowed to watch anymore. And then I was like so angry because I just wanted to know what was gonna happen. I loved this film. I feel like as well, a lot of people agree with this, but this is like the glow up film. When I was little, I thought like they all got so hot, and I was like, oh my god, I can't wait till I'm older and I'm like their age. I hate me. But this was like their glow up film for sure. I love how this is the first film where it gets dark and shows like the Wizarding World getting scarier. Again, the casting, Professor Lupin, done beautifully. I love Hogsmeade in the snow. I think that was done really well. The Marauders map, done really well. Peter Pettigrew, bitch, but done really well. I actually love the fact that it really was kept a mystery throughout it. Like, I fully thought Sirius Black was bad watching the movie for the first time before reading the books. I was like, oh my god, this man's so evil. And then it's like such a whoa shook when you find out he's actually good. So like obviously most people read the books first, but like the very first time I watched it without knowing, I love how that was done. Other things that I absolutely loved was the Whomping Willow scene. Loved it. Like how they like decided to add that action scene of them like getting flung around. Thought that was so sick. And like Hermione like grabbing Harry and like throwing him in. Like I remember we used to have this game when we were little. We made so many Harry Potter games when we were little, where we would call it the Whomping Willow, and we'd like have to throw each other. I don't even remember, but it was so good. And we had this game that I made up with our neighbours. It was called Prisoner of Azkaban, and we basically just had to get the prisoner was someone in the cubby house, and the prisoner of Azkaban, aka the cubby house, had to get past everyone else to get to this bush, and everyone else would just try and tackle them before they got to the bush. And I remember loving it because I just like sprinted full speed at people, and then they're like, shit. Oh, I miss being a kid and like things like that being like just like so exciting. Anyway, I love this film. Oh, the music in this was really good too, and I think the filmography was done really well. I kind of want to put her in Have a Biscuit, Potter. Do you know what? I'm going to do it. Have a Biscuit, Potter is where I'm going to put Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I love the Time Turner scene as well. Done well. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is next. Okay, now this is one that, after being in love with the books, the movie just... When I was a kid, I would have definitely put this in at least the Horntail Tattoo, but I'm thinking it might be going in Open Up You. So Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is one of my favourite books. But no, the movie Goblet of Fire, just a lot went wrong here. Let's start with the positives. I love that scene where she goes to see him behind the tent and like gives him that huge hug, and like Rita Skeeter takes a picture and it's like, young love. And some of the other scenes are done really well, like the underwater scene. I actually really did like the Yule Ball. Even just little details like Hagrid's hand gets stabbed by the fork. This movie adaptation was just did a huge disservice to such an amazing book. If you watch the Movie Flame video essay on this, oh my gosh. The director, I'm sorry, but I'm so like, no, he really did such a disservice. He didn't even read the books before directing the film, and he wasn't there for the love of Harry Potter or wanting to like show how beautiful this book was. He was there because he wanted to be like such a good director. I was really upset that they cut out all of the house elves. they cut out Winky, they cut out SPEW, they cut out the kitchen and the fruit bowl painting to get into the kitchen. However, what was in the movie that did get included, that should not have been included. The main thing I hate about this film is Dumbledore's portrayal as this like extremely aggro, like he's just so aggressive in this film. And I love the first Dumbledore. So I think it was Richard Harris that played the very first Dumbledore. He was so soft and gentle in the first two films. He portrayed how I see Dumbledore perfectly. The second Dumbledore, because Richard Harris passed away, I was not a fan of. I'm sorry, but I just felt like he was so like mean and like cold and like aggressive, and Dumbledore was meant to be warm and soft. And especially in this film, and it might have just been how his script was written, he was so aggro. Like when he screams at Harry for like getting his name coming out of the Goblet of Fire, that did not happen in the book. In the movie, when he like runs at Harry and like grabs his shoulders, he's so aggro, and like no, it just was not Dumbledore at all. So that like just, no, I just cannot deal with that. Oh my gosh, the World Cup Death Eater scene was just like the change in the Death Eaters from the Goblet of Fire to the Order of the Phoenix. Like, I just was like, they fully didn't have the magicalness of the campsite. Although the tent scene I did really like, how they go into the tiny tent and it's huge. But like there was so much other magic going on, and wizards from all over the world coming together for the World Cup that wasn't really shown, that was in the book. And like the Muggle owners of the campsite, that was really terrifying in the book, how the Death Eaters were like spinning them around in the air, even the little children. In the book it was so good. Everyone was running through the forest and it was terrifying, and then they all fled when someone cast a dark mark. But in the movie it was like this burnt out campsite, and then everyone was gone and Barty Crouch casts a dark mark. What the heck? The fact that like Harry got trampled and knocked out and then wakes up and everyone's gone, that did not happen. Anyway, there was a lot of good things about it. I do think like the bringing all the different wizarding schools together was done really well in the movie, and some of the tasks, like the second task, was done so well. This is like the one where they glowed down. Azkaban, they all glowed up, then they kind of all glowed down, and then they all glowed up again. Except Hermione, she obviously was glowed up for the whole thing. Sorry, but Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is going in Open Up You. Wow, we've got it all even. We've got 2 in each category. And we've got 2 movies to go. So the next movie is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I've heard that everybody apparently hates this movie, which is wild to me. This was one of my absolute favorites when I was little, and I still love this movie. I love how they did Dobby. I love how they did Dobby. I think they showed Dobby so well, and Dobby is like my favorite character almost in this series. I say almost because I don't want to make like broad claims like that. The jump scares in this film were really good. Like I remember being terrified in the Chamber of Secrets with the serpent, the basilisk's jump scare when it like jumps out of the water, and the basilisk in the Chamber of Secrets was terrifying. I loved how they like made Gilderoy Lockhart like a meme before memes were a thing. Like that was done really well, and when Lockhart's spell backfires, showed that so well in the movie. That was done beautifully. Honestly, that was done better in the movie than in the book, and that's a rare thing. The escape scene from Aragog's lair was on point. Again, another jump scare where the spider grabs Ron around the neck. The flying car was done so well. This is a really good movie, and I'm starting to think it might need to go and have a biscuit Potter. I love how they showed Moaning Myrtle. I love the Polyjuice Potion scenes in her bathroom. Something that I do love that I know a lot of people hate is the cheesy ending. I love that ending. When Hagrid comes back and everyone starts cheering and clapping, I love that scene. Okay, I made a few notes of some things that I was just a bit like, oh, what's that? One of them was the Hagrid throwback scene. Like when they go back in the diary, which I think was done so well. But that person playing Hagrid, what was that? That was so random. But the Tom Riddle was cast amazingly, and that was shown really well, that actual throwback. So I have to give that to them. There were some slow scenes in this film, and some of the acting as well was a bit like, I don't want to be a hater there, because like they're still learning and they're improving so much. So Lucius almost using Avada Kedavra on Harry at the end, just rando as hell. Now I'm really like, I don't know what to do with this film. I don't know what to do with her. Chamber of Secrets. I don't know. Does she want to go on to have a biscuit Potter or Harry's Horntail tattoo? My younger self would be so upset if I put Chamber of Secrets not in the very top tier, so I'm gonna do it. Last film, I already know what this is gonna go because this is my #1 favorite film of the franchise, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It's also my #1 favorite book. I absolutely love this. I love this. I'm going to put her straight into Have a Biscuit Potter, and then I'm going to tell you why. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This movie is just on point. First of all, the music. The music. I know I said I love the music in all of these films, but the music specifically in the Order of the Phoenix is just next level. It's so good. It just makes the atmosphere so much better. And I think this film is the first film where the editing and the technology they had to create the Harry Potter world and the CGI and the editing was just like 21st century. It was so good. The Death Eaters glow up, and I don't mean like glow up. I mean like how much better the editing of the Death Eaters got, and their costumes from the 4th film to the 5th film was wild. The editing, it just got so much better. And yeah, I loved this film. Oh my gosh, Umbridge's character and portrayal was shown so well because she physically makes you like angry when you watch it. Oh my god, when Harry in the Forbidden Forest, when Umbridge is getting taken away by the centaurs and she's like, tell them I mean no harm, and Harry's like, sorry, but I must not tell lies. That was... Oh, he slayed. He slayed. I loved how they showed Dumbledore's army. Loved it. One of my absolute favourite scenes is in this movie from the entire franchise, which is the Weasleys setting off the fireworks in their exams. Oh, so good. And it transitions so nicely, every scene. Oh my god, the fight scene in the Ministry of Magic when the Order all come and the music's like, fuck yeah, and they're all just fighting and like the Order is winning, and it was painful when Sirius died because it was shown so well. Bellatrix again cast so well, that evil bitch. And this movie is so good. Even like the possession scene of Harry, like, and the Ministry finally seeing that Voldemort is back when the Order comes to like save the kids at the Ministry, and like Sirius is just like, get away from my godson, and physically just like punches Lucius out. He really slayed. I hate that I'm using the word slay, but he just fucking slayed. Oh, and I loved how they improved apparition, like showing like the apparition. I love how they had the white apparition and the black apparition to distinguish between the Death Eaters and the Order in that fight scene. I thought that was done so well. Let me just finish with one other little game that me and my sister had because it was hilarious. When we were little, me and my sister used to play this game at our local swimming pool where we would pretend one of us would be like underwater, like passed out, and the other one would be the Triwizard Champion going to save them. Good times, I remember that. We had to like jump in and like physically like rescue like Surf Life Saving Vibes. Anyway, okay, so this is my final tier. I've got 4 movies in Have a Biscuit Potter, 2 in Harry's Horntail Tattoo, and 2 in Open Up You. I know I went on quite a rant, but like don't get me wrong, I absolutely just love this franchise and all of these films. Yeah, this was a really random video but really fun. I'm 1000% sure that lots of people will disagree with me because it's my opinion. It's biased and everyone has their own opinion. This was actually a really fun video to make and hopefully it didn't offend anyone. Again, it's just my opinion. I completely respect everyone else's different opinions on which Harry Potter films they love and which books they love. Yeah, let me know if you guys like this kind of video. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!